Welcome to All Things Seniors, a podcast for caregivers. If you are a caregiver or someone who is looking to learn about challenges and solutions pertaining to seniors, you are at the right place. We created this podcast to support all caregivers so that while you are driving, cooking, or working out, you can listen to those episodes from this podcast which pertains to your needs the most. In each episode, we will have an industry expert who will share their wisdom and knowledge with you to help you better serve your loved ones. So let's dive right into All Things Seniors.
Hello, and welcome to All Things Seniors. This is your host, Rafiq Punjani. Did you know that over 500,000 Canadians are currently living with dementia? Over 10% of those Canadians with dementia are being cared for in hospitals, even though this is not an ideal location for care for them. Dementia is not just a Canadian challenge, it's a global issue, and complex one as well. It affects families financially, emotionally, culturally. It affects their life overall. And then there are some great people around the world who are spreading the movement to empower families affected by dementia. One such person is with us today, who is arguably world's most renowned speaker and educator on the subject of dementia, Teepa Snow. Teepa is an occupational therapist with 40 years of rich and varied clinical and academic experience. She presents with extraordinary expertise and humor to audiences large and small throughout the world. Welcome to our show, Teepa.
Well, thanks for having me here.
Teepa, you mentioned in one of your videos that I was following, you mentioned something about getting connected before care. What does that mean, please?
Yeah, so one of the things I encourage people to do, if I look at the person I'm going to provide care to, like my mom or my husband or my sister, and I notice, she has the same outfit on she's had on for 3 days. Because I walk in having seen and observed and smelled a situation, and I start dealing with the situation. So what I want to do is take that view and go, oh yeah, she has the same outfit on. And now take a breath. And go, Mom, hey, how's my favorite lady? And I go, ooh, you know what? I was thinking we could go get something to eat. Hey, listen, you're wearing that outfit. I know you like it, but you've got that blue blouse. You haven't seen you that a long time. It's a little warmer because it's cooler out today. Tell you what, let me show you the one I'm talking about. Come with me. And I say, tell you what, switch out of this one. Let me see what it looks like. And if you want to put this one back on, we can. But try this on. I want to, oh, wow. Yep, your eyes look so much better. Come on. Ooh, you know what? Now, did you want a milkshake or would you rather have coffee? Because I can get either one when we go out. Which one? And what I did is when we made that transition and I did get you to switch your top, I did the exclamation energy again. And so what I did is I went, ooh, now do you want a milkshake or are you going to want coffee? I switched gears for you.
Very nice. So in a way, what you're suggesting is that many a times caregivers are always thinking about how we can provide care to make the life of my loved ones better. But sometimes we forget about the fact that for us to suggest something and for them to do that, there has to be a connection. And you're suggesting that we create that positive connection first and then guide them in doing few things rather than force them in doing those things.
Yeah. One of our biggest mistakes is I know the sequence of getting dressed. So I say, hey, Mom, how about a sweater? And she goes, yeah, get the one out of the closet. And then I go and I get it. I'm going to think that she'll remember that I went to get the sweater she asked for. What I keep forgetting is that hippocampus problem of memory. When I bring the sweater, she's going, what'd you get my sweater out of the closet for? I need to be prepared for, I am so sorry. I just wasn't thinking. It's a little cool outside, so I thought it might come in handy. Versus, you asked me to. And saying it that way makes it sound like I know something you don't know. And that's not usually a good relationship in a family.
This must be, yeah, you're so right. This must be very, very, very tough for the family caregivers because we are having so much expectations from them. It is tough on their emotionally, physically, as you mentioned.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, right? So many levels.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Nobody should try to do this alone.
Yeah.
Nobody should try to do this alone. And even in a family, families should reach out before they just go to each other, because that's one of those things that causes families to start praying is if you don't do what I said to do, you're not the boss, you're my sister. And so it sets us up. Family dynamics are such a challenging thing that getting some support for yourself outside of a family so you feel supported if you're doing a lot of care, both educationally supported, but also emotionally supported and supported in your time, because you need to look in the mirror and realize, you know what, I need some time off here. My brain is not working like it should. And I use the phrase, tell me what you still like. That's a real important phrase. And neurophysiologically, tell me something you still like about being with your mom, spending time with your dad. Tell me what you still like about your dad. Because when a brain can't find a like in a relationship, that becomes a risky relationship. Because if I don't like you anymore, how can I provide heart care, head care, good care? Because I don't actually want a relationship with you anymore. I just don't know. I have to because I'm a family member. And there's a lot of that can happen if I don't have the right support for me.
That makes so much sense. I also reached out to our local Alzheimer's Society of Manitoba here, and they do some amazing work, obviously, for families with dementia. And I wanted to ask a couple of questions on behalf of their organization and the families here in Manitoba. One thing, for example, they asked that how important it is for families to get good, credible information early and throughout the dementia diagnosis and progression. If you can please address their question here.
Yeah, if we could do some pre-work for ourselves, like notice what are symptoms and signs that something might be changing for someone, and do we have a baseline on somebody? That makes a big difference. So knowing something like that is like, oh, well, maybe I wonder if those symptom combos is why my mom doesn't look like some of the other people in the building or in the day center that she goes to. Why she's giving them such a hard time, because she has language losses that are much more severe than the people around her. So finding places that give you good updated information, not just on the disease, but on care stuff, because that's what families are being asked to do, is provide care and provide support and provide an environment and provide activities and provide, and it's like, where do I go get this stuff? Well, finding the right resources before you need the resources tends to be a better plan, because then you're not in crisis when you're looking around for options.
So Teepa, let's say somebody who is listening to this right now and they feel that mom or dad may have some symptoms. Definitely they should now reach out to their respective Alzheimer's Society. If you're in Manitoba, Alzheimer's Society of Manitoba, if you're wherever you are. But dementia is something where we could simply say, oh, they're getting aged, right? So that's why they're forgetting. Or it is just a memory problem. Tell our listeners, please, what are they looking for in terms of few symptoms, let's say 4 or 5 symptoms. If they see these things, they should be thinking about dementia and maybe get a formal diagnosis.
Yeah, so there's actually a tool out there that's relatively simple tool. It's called the AD8. So there's like 8 questions you could ask about the person you care about. And what you do is you compare their current performance to past performance, recent past performance. And if you see changes in these areas, they should raise a yellow flag. It could be your thyroid's not working right, or maybe the medications the doctor prescribed, if they're having a side effect for you or a toxicity effect. Maybe you're taking your medicines twice because you do have some memory problems and that's not working. So some of the things to look at are you finding it harder to use gadgets and different things? Like you used to love getting a new car. You used to be okay using the control system. You could figure out how to be on the internet. And now you're making some mistakes, and you either get emotionally angry or frustrated about that, or you say, well, never mind, I'm just not going to do it. And so you quit doing things you've done when it comes to doing more skilled things, like build furniture or make a complicated meal, and you're starting to make mistakes or make errors. And even more concerning is if you don't seem to notice, and you notice, the family members are noticing, and the person doesn't notice, because that in and of itself is called anosognosia, the inability to be aware of changes. But when you notice changes of any sort, it's a good idea to say, I'm noticing some changes. Are you noticing any changes? Because a very concerning answer is, no, I don't notice anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Or, well, I'm getting older. What do you expect? It's like, I shouldn't be able to tell the difference between 3 months ago and now. I shouldn't be able to tell the difference between 6 months ago and now. Those changes, aging changes, should be so minimal that over the course of a year, for instance, if I asked you to name animals, you would only lose the ability to get to an animal by one out of all the animals you can name. I shouldn't see a big change in you not being able to complete that activity or saying same animal several times in a minute, or asking me why I'm asking you to do that. So there are some simple screening things that we could do again every so often. And if we notice a shift in abilities, that would be sort of I think we should get it checked out, because it's not about dementia, it's about brain change. And as we age, brain change is one of those very sensitive measures to something might be changing in us, but it doesn't necessarily mean dementia.
Wonderful. I hope that, listeners are literally taking notes here, because this is gold mine of information. I think I'm leading to my last question, because we can talk to you for hours, and just for the respect of your time. One last question that I also got from Alzheimer's Society of Manitoba. It says that, are you still finding gaps in the ability of family and professional caregivers to provide quality care to a person with dementia?
Yeah, we have huge gaps. And not just families and professionals, hospitals. It's a really tough situation, because hospitals are meant to do acute care. And unfortunately, due to residential issues, often in families who are just burnt out, they can't do it anymore. I'm not doing it well. I know I'm not doing it well. I don't know what else to do. And I do say this to families, not everybody's meant to be a hands-on caregiver for somebody living with dementia. You can be a perfectly wonderful person, but it's not your thing. And your job is to find somebody like me who does love doing this and is very good at it, not to try to do what you're not good at, because I wouldn't try to fix computers. I'm not good at it, and I don't want to get good at it. I want to go to somebody who is, and I want to know who they are.
Wonderful. So for caregivers who are listening to it, get early diagnosis, look out for those symptoms, get better in communication, stop forcing your way of life on somebody who is going through dementia, because that's a total different spectrum. And if you figure out that you need help, ask for help, whether it's a family help or it's a professional help. Go out and, find the best care you can for your loved ones. Teepa,
and for you.
Yeah, and for yourself.
And for you.
Absolutely. Teepa, I loved our conversation. I would have loved that if we had hours more, but I know that, because of restraint of time, we can't. Thank you very much for bringing change in life of so many people around the world. I cannot thank you enough. Listeners, if you like today's episode, please subscribe and review it on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the show. This way you never miss an episode. Also, check out the show notes for the links that Teepa shared with us. I have taken some notes as well, which I will put all the links there so that it's easier for you to access that. We have some behind-the-scene pictures as well on our Facebook page, All Things Seniors, so make sure that you check that out. Again, Teepa, thank you so much for your time today.
You are so welcome, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to folks in Canada, eh?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thanks again for listening, you all. I'm your host, Rafiq Punjani, and we will be back next week. Until then, ciao.